Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're cracking open what you might call the billionaire blueprint. We're going to distill the core principles of success from the writings of one of the world's most famous businessmen. And this single idea? It's pretty much the entire foundation. The sources we've analyzed show a philosophy that begins not with money, not with tactics, but with your mindset. Okay, let's dive in. So, we've broken this whole blueprint down into 4 key pillars. We're going to start with the internal stuff, the mindset, then move to the external strategies and tools. After that, we'll cover the long-term vision, and we'll wrap it all up with a final thought for you to chew on. First things first, according to all the source material, everything, and I mean absolutely everything, starts with how you think and, just as importantly, how you handle pressure. So the first part of this foundation is just this relentless sense of optimism. The philosophy argues this isn't just, wishful thinking, it's a weapon. A positive outlook is presented as absolutely essential for overcoming any challenge you're going to face. Now, what's really interesting here is how this slide provides the perfect counterweight to that optimism. See, you can have all the faith in the world, but the sources argue it has to be paired with extreme mental toughness and obsessive preparation. You can lose a battle, sure, but you can never, ever be caught off guard. The sources give this powerful combo of optimism and toughness a name, a relentless mindset. It's this core idea that just sheer persistence, the refusal to ever, ever give up, is way more important than raw talent or some lucky break. And this mindset wasn't just some theory. It was put to the ultimate test. We're talking about being under the crushing weight of billions of dollars in personal business debt, a number that's designed to break literally anyone. And this, right here, just brilliantly illustrates the main lesson from that whole period. That true courage and that unbreakable toughness, well, they aren't things you're born with. They are forged in the fire of confronting failure head-on, not by trying to avoid it. Okay, so you've got that relentless mindset locked in. Now what? Where do you apply it? Well, the sources say you have to understand the environment you're in. And their view is, well, it's pretty stark. Business is a battlefield. The number one rule of this arena, constant, unwavering vigilance. It means you need a deep, almost forensic understanding of not just your own strengths and weaknesses, but of the full capabilities of your rivals too. And the material is just completely unflinching about professional relationships. It warns over and over that in the high-stakes world of business, even friends and trusted allies can, and often do, become adversaries. So, operating inside this battlefield, the sources push for a controversial but crystal clear principle. Getting even isn't just personal. No, it's presented as a strategic tool, something that's essential for establishing your reputation and actively scaring off anyone who might think about attacking you in the future. Okay, so if business really is a battlefield, what kind of weapons are in the arsenal? Well, the sources actually detail several very specific, actionable tactics designed for exactly that kind of environment. Leverage is presented as, the master key to unlocking huge wealth. It's the tool that lets you operate way beyond the limits of your own capital, letting you control massive assets to magnify your potential returns, exponentially. The sources get incredibly specific, too. They even detail negotiation strategies, just like this one. The idea is to deliberately steer your opponent's focus towards a secondary issue, a tangent, so that while they're busy with that, you can keep a laser focus on your main goal and control the whole negotiation. But beyond any single tactic, there's a theme that is just hammered home again and again, the absolute necessity of trusting your gut. The philosophy argues that you have to have the courage to follow your intuition, even when, and maybe especially when, it goes against what everyone else is saying, or the advice of so-called experts. So this final pillar of the blueprint kind of shifts our focus. We're moving from immediate tactics to long-term sustainable strategy. And it really centers on 2 critical and kind of contradictory elements for success that actually lasts. First up is this idea of momentum. The sources describe it as this powerful, almost physical force of forward progress. Now, getting it is hard, takes a ton of effort. But once you have it, you have to do everything in your power to keep it, because losing it can be totally catastrophic. And the story of the legendary developer, William Levitt, is used as this really stark cautionary tale. I mean, here was a guy who achieved brilliant, world-changing success. But according to the sources, After he sold his company, he lost his momentum, and because of that, he lost his entire empire. And finally, we get to this fascinating paradox. So, despite this whole business as a battlefield mentality that runs through the entire philosophy, the sources place a supreme, almost sacred value on loyalty. It's framed as the absolute bedrock of any stable and successful organization. So, after going through all four of these pillars, what's the big takeaway? The entire philosophy, from mindset to tactics to the long game, it's all built on a single premise that's designed to set its followers apart from, well, everyone else. And this brings us to one last question, and it's a big one for you to consider. If this really is the blueprint for a certain kind of massive success, what's the true cost? Personally and professionally, what does it really demand from you to build the life it describes? Definitely something to think about.